Ooh, and we're live. And we're live. It's happening. We're back. We're here this morning. We're actually here in the morning for some news. What's up, everybody? I'm MURKradio. Welcome to News Dump. Let's just maybe hop right into it. Let's just jump right into some news this morning. I've pulled some news from different news sources so you guys don't have to. Let's see what we have going in full. First up today, U.S. charges driver and 3 others in the deaths of 53 migrants found in Texas. So it was 2 people yesterday when we watched. Today they've managed to bust 4 people for this. And honestly, thank God there's some justice happening.
Now to what authorities are calling the deadliest human smuggling incident in the U.S. 4 people have been arrested at this point and are charged in the case.
And the number of dead has gone up. It's now at 53. Kathy Hernandez is live with the very latest information this morning. Kathy?
Good morning to you. 4 people are in federal custody, and that includes the driver of that big rig, who is from Pasadena. Officials have charged the driver of the big rig. His name is Homero Zamorano. He was seen on surveillance video on Monday. Authorities say he abandoned the tractor trailer and may have been on meth. 28-year-old Christian Martinez of Palestine is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to transport undocumented immigrants, resulting in death. Also charged 2 men who authorities say were at the house listed on the tractor trailer's registration and are both charged with illegal possession of firearms. Meanwhile, state officials say they're launching new tactics to try and stop another tragedy from unfolding.
We're going to deploy strike teams of DPS special agents to conduct surveillance and look for these cloned vehicles, stolen vehicles that are staged along the highways used to smuggle people.
And one of the victims identified by the Honduran Foreign Ministry, 28-year-old Adela Ramirez, who had hopes, her family tells us, of reuniting with her mother and sisters here in the United States. Apparently, her grandmother had begged her not to go. Governor Greg Abbott also announced they would be setting up new checkpoints to monitor the trucks that are entering from Mexico. He did not say where they would be located because he doesn't want to tip off future smugglers. Reporting live, Kathy Hernandez, KBRC2 News.
Kathy.
Just horrible. Kind of thought we'd keep up with this one as it stayed trending in the news. And I'm going to do my best to stay aware of what happens after the fact too. What happens in court when it goes to court. My goodness, but the driver potentially on meth. I'm calling cartel business. I'm calling it. Cartel stuff has to be somehow related to some sketchy ass people. But again, good morning, everybody. We did it. Good morning, Lux.
Morning. I have something for you.
You have something for me? What do you got?
I have an unserved warrant charging a white woman in the 1955 kidnapping of Emmett Till.
Whoa.
Emmett Till was lynched 67 years ago. Or this was, 55? 1955, so I guess it's 67. This child, 14 years old, 14-year-old black boy, was lynched.
Mm-hmm. The tragic story of Emmett Till.
They just happened to find a random unserved warrant, and people want it served.
Oh my gosh. You're right. We have some quick clips from the news here. Oh man.
I'm kind of reading.
Yeah. This is...
At 11 tonight, the family of Emmett Till wants authorities to make an arrest in his lynching that happened nearly 7 decades ago after a team discovered an unserved warrant in the basement of a Mississippi courthouse charging a white woman in his kidnapping. The warrant, dated August 29th of 1955, names Carolyn Bryant Dunham as Mrs. Roy Bryant as the kidnapper. Emmett Till was abducted from a relative's home, killed and dumped into a river after Dunham accused him of making improper advances to her in a store. A witness said the 14-year-old whistled at her. His accused killers were tried and acquitted, but admitted to the killing later in an interview. Dunham is now in her 80s and most recently lived in North Carolina. The Till family is calling for her arrest. The district attorney's office that would oversee the case declined comment on this story.
Ooh, they better do something. They better do something. Wow.
They're saying there is enough new evidence to prosecute.
They're absolutely. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. How often do you see that happen with a case that old?
Mm-hmm.
They just recently, or within the last few days, arrested a Nazi war criminal too for serving the SS and working in a concentration camp. Woman finds ancient bust at Texas Goodwill store. An ancient bust? This lady found a bust of one of the Caesars at Goodwill.
Take us to a news story here about how you can find just about anything in a thrift store, from books to clothes, one-of-a-kind furniture. Well, a Texas woman was shocked to learn that a statue she bought in 2018 has a 2,000-year-old story behind it. Omar Villafranca decided to wrap his head around this marble mystery.
What?
Shopping at this Goodwill boutique in Austin, Texas is like sifting for gold.
It's like luck, I feel like. You have to look.
Between the gently used dresses and the kitchenware,
I am looking for whatever catches my eye and whatever works on any given day.
there are deeply discounted secondhand treasures to be found.
I found older the lithographs and silver dishes.
When antiques dealer Laura Young goes thrifting, she keeps her head on a swivel.
I'm looking for anything, first of all, that I love and anything that I think you will love for your home.
Laura Young was roaming
Don't try
around
to sell me on your
looking
antiques
for
business,
household
ma'am.
treasures when she saw something sitting on a lower shelf that caught her eye. You had a hunch that it was something.
Oh, yes, yes.
Young was mesmerized. The details in the hair, the brooding look on the man's face.
There's a lifelikeness to the face.
But was this a masterwork of art or some relic of a college toga party? Young had to find out.
You try to pick it up, it weighs a lot, definitely solid marble. The price is right, $34.99.
When you flip over and you see that it's $34.99.
Yeah, no questions, immediately find a guy to pick it up.
Sold.
Yes, so I paid for it as quickly as humanly possible and had the same guy carry it out to the car for me. And I strapped him into the front seat of the car with a seatbelt.
With the bust belted into her car, she went home and started reaching out to experts. She sent pictures to academics and auction houses, trying to find out more about the stranger now sitting in her living room.
A couple of days later, I hear from Sotheby's auction house, and one of their specialists had actually identified the head as previously being part of the German-owned or Bavarian-owned state antiquities collection.
Whoa.
It's like a movie or something. The backstory of this head is nuts.
Experts say the $35 Roman bust sitting in her home was a priceless piece of stolen art. The statue dates back to the late 1st century BC to the early 1st century AD and was part of the collection of King Ludwig I of Bavaria in Aschaffenburg, Germany. This picture was used to identify the bust and shows the museum where the statue
Do I look like
once
Ludwig?
stood.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Lindley McAlpine is a Roman art and provenance specialist at the San Antonio Museum of Art.
You hear stories sometimes of people finding an old copy of the Constitution behind another piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
Do they ever find ancient Roman busts at a Goodwill?
I've never heard of any antiquities, any ancient Roman,
Isn't that
Greek,
crazy, Barney?
Egyptian, anything like that coming from a thrift store. Certainly not something as huge and obviously old as this.
But how the sculpture ended up in Texas remains a mystery. Experts believe an American soldier might have smuggled the bust back to the States after the King's Villa in Germany was bombed by Allied forces during World War II.
It couldn't be sold legitimately because it was known to have been stolen. And there are all sorts of war related laws like the Geneva Convention.
Okay.
So war looting is a war crime. And when you find something like this, you're not going to be able to sell it on the legitimate art market.
It never occurred to me that he could have arrived here by nefarious means. That being said, this is my first, piece of looted art that I've purchased.
Young can't talk details or compensation, but she is returning the bus back to the German government, but not before the centuries-old sculpture remains on display at the San Antonio Museum of Art for a few more months.
I had to drive down and see him in the museum. That's my guy.
She's
I got
breathing
choked
so
up
heavy
just
in the
seeing
mic,
other
though.
people see him and read the story. He was hidden in our house for almost 4 years, and just seeing
they
other
put a
people
mask on
appreciate
him.
him was amazing.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and for Young, this
great.
bust was head and shoulders the finest piece of art she's ever returned. For CBS Mornings, I'm Omar Villafranca in San Antonio.
First of all, what a masterful piece of art. The head looked particularly sad. It like slumped over in the front seat of her car with the seatbelt on and the Goodwill sticker.
She knew she had something, just the fact that she strapped it in. The detail on the hair is interesting, but don't we want to know how much? You can't discuss details and compensation.
I want to know what she got.
Do you think
for
that
it,
means because it's so much or because it's not a lot?
I think that means because it's so much.
Because it's so much,
Yeah.
even though
I got a feeling it's because it's a lot, too. This lady's returning Bavarian artifacts, you know what I mean? If you're returning Bavarian artifacts, surely they hook you up with some kind of reward money. Surely.
Why would you give it back? Why would you reach out to?
Well, because you love art and you want it to be back in the country. You know, a lot of people think, this
And it
art
was
should be in
stolen.
the country where, it was stolen.
and you want to, you want to do the right thing.
First of all,
Do you love art that much that you would give it back to him?
Oh. Yeah, it's being crazy. You guys know, the next story we have comes out of Yellowstone. A man was unfortunately gored by a bison. And, nature, red in tooth and claw, always vicious. Oh, we don't need no bigfollows.com. Red Fane. Let's check this out. Trigger warning out there if you might see some animal on human violence coming up. If it bothers you, don't change the channel. Doesn't make sense to look at something that bothers you. And it's about to be a bison fighting a human. Diddy. Yeah, let's check it out. See what this is.
Tonight, the terrifying moment, a bison charges a group of tourists. A man grabbing a child and shoving him out of the way as the animal attacks and gores him. It happened Monday in Yellowstone National Park. A bystander shooting video of the family standing on a boardwalk.
He saved a
when
child.
The 1,800-pound animal charges. The child and two others standing face to face with the bison. That's when you see the other man rush in to help. Officials from Yellowstone saying the 34-year-old sustained an injury to his arm and was rushed to the hospital. The incident showing the dangers of getting too close to wild animals.
Wow.
These are large animals that are capable of high speeds, so they deserve respect. The rule that the National Park Service recommends is a minimum of 25 yards distance between people and bison.
This is the latest in a series of harrowing incidents in and around Yellowstone. Last year, a bison charging a family who were standing too close. A girl trips and falls while trying to escape. She ends up playing dead. Luckily, she was unhurt.
Oh, God. Oh, no, 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 no.
In 2018, on a highway in Yellowstone, this man actually taunting a bison in front of shocked onlookers.
I can't watch it anymore.
I think part of the challenge is that people fail to follow the rules. or maybe lose track of how close they've
Tripper,
gotten to
right? Yeah,
wildlife
that girl, that
in
lady
situations.
played dead and it
And that's
worked.
where
I
accidents
didn't know that worked against
can occur.
bison or charging
Luckily,
animal.
the injuries from Monday's incident
I was like,
weren't
that
more
lady's about to get
serious,
trampled.
and the child in the bison's path was pulled to safety.
Ooh.
But this is a chilling reminder
Before
to
you
respect the
skate.
speed and power of these animals. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Wow.
Thanks for watching.
That was insane. That was insane. Let's see. Well, we've got it pretty chill still. Let's get the gun news out of the way. Nature. Guys, nature. That one's nuts. Bison are crazy. Crazy. 15 hours ago.
Yellowstone National Park is back open after that severe flooding, and now there's a new worry. Angry bison.
It's happened again at Yellowstone. A tourist is gored as he tries to rescue a child from a charging bison. The drama starts as the beast races towards a family of sightseers. It halts briefly, then charges the child. One guy jumps into harm's way to scoop up the youngster. In slow motion, you can see they're both lifted off the ground, then dumped. The child runs to safety, and the hero is left sprawling. The bison then turns its attention to another tourist who lets loose with what appears to be bear spray. Officials say the man who was gored was taken to the hospital with a dislocated arm. Now, this latest brush with danger at Yellowstone, which 2 weeks ago was closed due to floods, but has since reopened.
As many as 5,500 bison make Yellowstone National Park their home.
Holy shit. It's a lot of bison. And they're getting awful. The males are just being, bulls. And when you're around like a bull on like a dairy farm, you'll keep like a bull or something. You got to keep the cows pregnant so they stay lactating, basically, and you have to keep them giving birth. So, yeah. Anyway, having seen the behind the scenes of some dairy farming, those bulls they become a problem, and they're such a majestic animal. Bulls, bison, stuff like that. You kind of forget that they weigh as much as they do. Dangerous.
No, they are big chunky dudes.
Yeah.
1,000 pounds.
Big chunky dudes. Apparently, California gun owners have had their data leaked.
California's firearms dashboard portal, meant to be a tool for transparency, yanked offline just 24 hours after it launched. The state's Department of Justice confirms it wrongly made public names, addresses, birth dates, and other personal information of a number of people who applied for a concealed and carry weapons permit in the past 10 years.
These people have gone through flaming hoops to be able to get these permits.
Matthew LaRosiere with the Firearms Policy Coalition says it's more than a data breach, it's a breach of trust.
Yeah.
Why should
Major
you be
breach of privacy.
exposing them to these additional risks? It doesn't make any sense. The only way forward, in my opinion, stop holding lists of gun owners.
The advocacy group focused on the right to bear arms says it'll continue to fight government policies that allow personal data leaks to happen.
We do not believe that the government can be trusted with any lists of people, and especially not gun owners.
Attorney General Rob Bonta says he's deeply disturbed and angered, launching an investigation into how the breach happened. In a statement saying this unauthorized release of personal information is unacceptable and falls far short of my expectations for this department. Under state law, the agency will notify people impacted in the coming days. It will also provide them credit monitoring services. California Sheriff's Association President Corey Honey says the risk of identity fraud is bad enough, but gun ownership adds an extra layer of sensitivity. Some applicants exposed included judges and reserve peace officers.
It also alerts people who might wish to do them harm where they're located.
Beyond that, he says any gun owner could be a target for theft, posing a risk to public safety.
if this information falls into the wrong hands, people who might be inclined to break into someone's home and look for firearms to steal have an address now that they could target.
And the sheriff says if you fear you have been impacted, monitor your credit for identity fraud. The association says it continues to monitor the situation as an investigation is now underway.
Oof. Oof. Yes, if you bought a gun in California, keep monitoring as if you are subject to identity theft. That's a very good piece of advice. Your information has been leaked. They've leaked it. I don't know. I hate to sound conspiratorial, but I feel like both sides have a motive for leaking the gun registry lists or the gun dashboard portal lists. The side that doesn't want lists to exist wants to make them seem like the least secure option. The people who want to keep the lists around want the system to be even stronger and more authoritarian. So let's see where this goes. I got a feeling it's not going to be good. I got a feeling it's going to get weird around firearms in America in the next few years. Me personally, tired of gun violence. Tired of it. I live in a place that's pretty violent. I live in a large city. And honestly, thank God we're not ground level. Little bullet, we can't just catch a straight. We are less likely to catch a stray bullet where we're at, I feel like. But over the gun violence and the nonsense and the kind of half-assed justifications when I live in a metropolis. But we're in an open carry state. You can just walk around with a gun here. It's weird because there's skyscrapers, so it's just weird. Weird vibe.
Good morning, Doug. And that new superintendent is Mary Skipper, and she was once the headmaster here.
Oh, it looks like Boston schools are getting a new boss.
Good morning, Doug. And that new superintendent is Mary Skipper, and she was once the headmaster here at Tech Boston Academy. This is where the press conference will be a little bit later this morning. And last night, the school committee did select Skipper as the new superintendent by a vote of 4-3. For the last 7 years, she has been the superintendent of Somerville Public Schools. As you recall, BPS just avoided a state takeover, and school committee members acknowledged that the waters will be tough to navigate.
The work with DESE
What are you doing in
is
our
serious.
waters?
We have a large amount of work to do on very critical timelines.
The district now has to work with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to meet improvement deadlines. This is video from 2011 when then-President Barack Obama visited Tech Boston Academy. Mary Skipper was there, and she was serving as the headmaster. It is unclear this morning when she will officially begin as the superintendent. She does still need to negotiate a contract with the school committee. In the meantime, an acting superintendent will fill that role. The press conference we referenced is scheduled for 9 o'clock this morning here at Tech Boston Academy. Reporting live this morning in Dorchester, Todd Kiskiewicz, WCVB.
That's
News
a funny
Center.
note on that McDonald's plugs. That's a funny note. Well, Boston schools, Bison. Oof. Looks like Biden's going to speak at NATO again.
President Biden preparing to close out his European trip. He'll be speaking at the NATO meeting.
You think they're going to give him a microphone for his next speech?
On the country and covering it up
Yeah.
for the weekend.
Yeah. This is the weirdest. Let's do some quick PR and make our country not seem like a nightmare so we can go to this summit, this G7 summit, where they won't even give me a microphone. Most ignored, tucked out dude possible. It's just weird. It's so weird.
Later this morning, let's get to Kayla Tausche in Madrid with the very latest. Good morning, Kayla.
Good morning, Melissa. NATO leaders here in Madrid are waking up to an earful from Vladimir Putin, who overnight said that Russia would be forced to respond in kind if NATO's infrastructure expanded to Sweden and Finland. He also said that he would pursue, quote, different tactics in Ukraine.
Come on,
He said
allergy
his
pill.
goals remain unchanged.
Excuse me. Bless
now,
me.
Russia leaders this week have been united
sneezes.
in trying to choke off the funding for Putin's war machine while supporting Ukraine. But the split screen to this unity overseas is cratering support for most of these leaders back home, with inflation skyrocketing and Ukraine preparing for many more months of war. So the solution from many of these Western leaders has been to support Ukraine militarily and in its own country with about $5 billion budget shortfall per month, while also trying to cap the amount of money that buyers pay Russia for its oil. Earlier this morning, I had an opportunity to speak with the Biden administration's architect for that potential price cap, and I asked him what happens if Vladimir Putin won't pay that cap.
We already have evidence that he is selling oil at extremely discounted prices. So that's already there. So we know that he's willing to sell. You know, there have been reports out there already by some of the buyers reporting at $30 to $40 discounts in some cases, some places low. It's not even. So we know he's willing to sell it at a discounted rate because he needs the revenues for his war machine.
Amos Hochstein said that conversations with partners large and small are just beginning now that G7 leaders have announced an agreement to pursue a concept of a price cap. Of course, later today, President Biden will be hosting a news conference to close out the summit, and you can imagine that he will be facing many questions, especially on NATO's comment yesterday that they're preparing for a long-haul war in Ukraine. Melissa and Joe?
Kayla, I had that very question that you posed and got the soundbite for, and maybe it really gets to what if Putin, I mean, it's sort of a game of chicken. What if Putin says, you know what, I'm not going to sell that oil. Let's see who's strong.
Guys, I was saying it yesterday, it's all about trade routes, it's all about resources, it's all about the spice melange. We're gonna be burning some oil. Or burning some coal. Coal might be coming back. That's so weird. So weird.
Stronger at this point. I mean, I guess they're hoping that he's just so desperate he's going to sell at any price.
Right, and of course the question was, what if Putin doesn't sell? What if Putin doesn't buy? You know, jet lag 5 days in is still getting to me. But you know, there have been reports that Russia's price for production is about $10 per barrel, so it's extremely low. And there are also reports that he's been cutting off gas supply on Nord Stream 1 to Europe to try to choke off or withhold energy to European buyers as well. So certainly he holds many of the cards. But you heard Hochstein say there that he believes that because they're selling in some cases $30 per barrel or even lower in other cases, he said that they believe that is feasible. But, you know, from the response that we got from Putin overnight, it certainly doesn't sound like he's a willing negotiator in that arena.
No. Hell no. No. Nor should he want to be. Yes. It's going to pop off with this NATO stuff. It's going to be, you know. Oof. While we're in the back of the first hour, let's just stay on the political news. Let's see what's going on with the Jan 6th committee.
Turning to the January 6th Select Committee, former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson is standing by her explosive testimony this week after supporters of former President
Cassidy Hutchinson has been in the news like crazy. This lady left quite the impression, it would appear.
Trump challenged a key revelation in her remarks. And last night, one of the Trump White House officials mentioned by Hutchinson was subpoenaed by the committee. Scott McFarland has more from Capitol Hill.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
The stunning revelations from former White House aide Cassidy Hutchinson may have put the former president in greater legal jeopardy, according to panel member Jamie Raskin.
The evidence becomes so overwhelming of an attempted political coup.
The plaintiffs both saw stock with AR-15.
The focus is on Hutchinson's accusation the president knew the crowd in D.C. was armed and headed to the Capitol.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, you know, I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Take the effing mags away. Let my people in. They can march to the Capitol from here.
The potential charges, according to legal experts, obstructing an official proceeding, the certification of the election, and incitement of a riot. According to Hutchinson, White House counsel Pat Cipollone raised some of those concerns.
Mr. Cipollone said something to the effect of,
Please make sure we don't go up to the Capitol, Cassidy. We're going to get charged with every crime imaginable.
The committee subpoenaed him Wednesday night, writing in a statement that Cipollone repeatedly raised legal and other concerns about President Trump's activities on January 6th and in the days that preceded. Meanwhile, there's new pushback against one part of Hutchinson's testimony, in which she testified White House colleague Tony Ornato told her of an incident in the presidential limo in which then-President Trump allegedly lunged at a Secret Service agent and tried to grab the steering wheel when his demand to go to the Capitol January 6th was denied. A source close to the Secret Service denied that account. Hutchinson's lawyer said she...
What do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys think Trump actually grabbed a steering wheel like that? Have you heard that, Lux? So what one account of January 6th is saying is that when Secret Service refused to take Trump to the Capitol, he grabbed the steering wheel and tried to get them to just make the turn. You know what I mean? Like he threw a full-on fit, it sounds like. And I wonder how truthful that is.
She stands by all of the testimony she provided. And the two Republican
Probably
members
very
of the
truthful.
committee continue to stand by the investigation.
Again, you guys know how I feel about Donald
publicly
Trump.
And very candidly Wednesday night to members
He's a
of their
clown.
own party.
Look, you are Republicans, you're being lied to. You're being lied to and you're being taken advantage of. You can't be that gullible. Let's fight to defend our democracy.
We have to choose, because Republicans cannot both be loyal to Donald Trump and loyal to the Constitution.
Cheney went on to call the former president a domestic threat. In a post
Barney
last
says
night,
it sounds like
Trump said
something
the
he would
committee
do. And
asked him
Barney's
to
young
speak
and
to his White House
Australian, so
counsel
I'm
and
inclined to
setting a
believe.
terrible
I'm inclined to believe Barney's opinion. Absolutely, brother. I believe you, young Australian cats. Let me double check this Discord here. Boom. Still just your mans. Hey, reminder to you guys, if you want to be on camera or join me on the stream, feel free to hop in the Discord. I'd say link in description, but we stopped doing that. If anybody wants a link to the Discord, just give me a shout. We'll drop it in the chat. Okay, what do we have here? What's next up? What's next up in the news dump? Let's just keep dumping. Let's just keep dumping. Let's just go right through it. Oh, that was the boom, boom, boom. Here we go.
Most people, Democrat or
Next, we have IVF treatments after Roe. What does it mean for IVF treatments? This is something that you ladies brought up yesterday. And I'm a little concerned about, because again, my solution is vasectomy and freeze sperm, and they're going to try their best, it sounds like, to redefine everything top to bottom and make IVF more difficult. So, again, I've also already procreated, so again, I'm more concerned about my partner's day-to-day comfort and well-being. That's where I'm at. As a man, I'm still full vasectomy train. Just to let you guys know, if you super chat, it goes toward the vasectomy. Hit up the super chat. I'm gonna get a super chat poll at some point. This just says for vasectomy. Trying to raise $700 just in case insurance doesn't cover it, or if anything weird happens.
a Republican knows somebody who's had some sort of infertility. Other people don't realize that when you have a law that regulates abortion, that it impacts all of reproduction, including IVF and the storage of embryos.
I never thought I would need any sort of fertility treatment. So we tried to conceive for about a year before we looked into fertility clinics. We ended up doing 2 rounds of IUI and 2 rounds of IVF before we were able to get pregnant this time. We're just really excited, and at this point she can come anytime, and so we're just looking forward to her birth.
I'm gonna take this very simply. You take the egg and you take the sperm and you fertilize it in a dish. That's in vitro fertilization. So if we're saying the pregnancy begins in the lab when the embryo is created, that's very dangerous.
I have a concern that if Roe is overturned, states with abortion bans could potentially restrict IVF if their definition of life begins at the point of fertilization.
Literally, if you take the statutes, what we call personhood statutes, by exactly what they say, that means that that embryo is a person, and that means if you drop an embryo, it could be manslaughter. If you keep an embryo frozen, it could be child abuse. So we have to realize
That's crazy.
that we can't define life for non-viable embryos. Whatever you think about abortion, we want to make sure that we preserve fertility treatment for people, for women, for men who need it.
We're definitely not alone. We're not rare. There's tons of people out there that are struggling with fertility and are
Anybody
using
who's seen
clinics to help
the
support
first season of
getting
The
pregnant and
Kardashians on
starting their
Hulu.
families. Like for my sister and her partner, they wouldn't be able to have the 2 girls that they have if they didn't have fertility support to get them there. Having IVF and fertility treatments available should be a human right. Why should that be taken away from you when there's science that can help support that? And so I think it's
100%.
just having that option there is something that everyone should see as important.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these.
What's this new lo-fi beats to news to? What the hell? Oh my gosh. That's from 6 years ago though. I'm not gonna click on that. Okay. Let's go back to the main page, guys. We might just throw on some live news this morning and keep it going. Let's just play live news roulette. Let's see, we got local 10. This Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Got Galveston. Ooh. That's just beach cam. This is a Galveston beach cam. Bloomberg Global Financial News. Ooh, I don't want to do Fox News now, I won't lie. I don't feel like Fox News. But anybody wants to suggest a news place for roulette, let's do it. If not, I'm going to click on, let's do CBS.
Nachopera Lemuria once lived off this land. It's so dry, hey? Now nothing grows in this parched earth. Her mother starved to death last year. She's convinced she's next. If the food stops coming, she says, you won't find me alive next time you visit. The World Food Programme was her only lifeline. That's now been severed. I'm terrified, she says. Please keep giving us food. Acting Country Director Adayinka Badejo says they've had to suspend aid to nearly 2 million people because of rising fuel and food costs following the war in Ukraine.
We're having to take from the hungry to feed the starving. If you are surviving on 1 meal a day, and even that 1 meal is no longer there, then you are facing famine.
There is a market, but it takes a day for locals to get there, and grain is in short supply. Russia's invasion has vastly reduced Ukraine's ability to ship vital supplies to Africa.
This market couldn't be further away from Ukraine, and yet Vladimir Putin's Black Sea blockade has had a direct impact on the cost of food here, which has risen by nearly 100%.
High school teacher Sophie Valentino is feeling the pinch.
My main message to the world is to stop unnecessary wars, so that when there is peace, the UN will be able to focus and buy the food and supply to the needy countries.
The salary.
The UN is giving them, that's the excuse the UN is giving them, is we're too busy to feed you or to help with the allocation of food resources, edible resources. Oh my God.
It doesn't go far these days.
The prices have doubled. Wow.
The chopper can't even afford to clothe 2 of her naked children. Her final bag of aid will last barely 2 weeks. We just need food, she keeps saying. You must help us. Tell them we are starving. Deborah Para Capoeira, South Sudan.
Our Crime Without Punishment series continues today with mothers who've lost their children to murder. Many say they are not getting enough help from the police. Coming up, Jim Axelrod will take us to Jackson, Mississippi to learn about the devastating toll these unsolved murders are taking on families. We'll be right back.
Gosh. unsolved murders, huh? That sucks. That sucks. Cool. While they're taking an ad break, we can take an ad break. Pillar.io/MURKradio. You can get everything there. My music, my merch. Our sponsors. Barkbox, NordVPN, Gamefly, Factory Ship, Death Wish Coffee. We stack coupons for you guys, and every time you get a deal, helps the channel out. So hit up pillar.io/MURKradio and get a deal on us. Where are my people at? Did I start too early for everybody? Is the schedule too crazy? Is everybody used to the afternoon now? Hey Arnold, yeah. Bernie, Hey Arnold was the best. Hey Arnold was such a good show. And you know, Hey Arnold transcends, like, generations. My younger nephew was obsessed with Hey Arnold for a long time when he should have been into something like Barney. My nephew's always been smooth. Shout out, little nephew. He's got good taste, like his uncle. Man, these... See, Barney says one of my faves from when I was younger. Yeah. Hey Arnold would cut deep, you know. They'll get you with an episode that's like the emotional equivalent of the Fry's Dog episode of Futurama, which was devastating. As a child. Devastating. As an adult, too. That's just a tough episode. But Arnold would hit you with that. Where's Arnold's parents? The Mr. Wynn story. Remember Mr. Wynn? Singing country music beautifully. I think they used Randy Travis, the real world country singer, to voice Mr. Wynn when he sang. Oh, it was beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, it looks like they're back.
Mississippi has experienced a spike in killings with more than 150 murders last year, and about 4 in 10 remain unsolved. So Chief Investigative and Senior National Correspondent Jim Axelrod is with us now.
Dang.
He went
Well,
to
that's why,
Jackson
no
to see
notifications.
the toll that this takes of these unsolved murders on relatives of those who have been killed. Thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having us. I'll tell you, there are the numbers, and then there's the pain and
What
the
was that,
suffering
my
behind
love?
the numbers. We traveled to Jackson last month to meet with a small group of mothers and fathers who
yeah,
lost their
the
sons.
Queen posted
what
in
we
Discord.
found was a community seething with frustration that more is not being done to track down the killers of their children. We also found an overwhelmed police department that says it couldn't possibly keep pace with the violence. Everyone in this room who has had a member of their family murdered, raise your hand.
When we started calling mothers who'd lost their children to murder in Jackson, Mississippi, word got around, and more than 30 people arrived for our interview.
Put your hands up if you feel like you've had to investigate your own loved one's death.
The pain in this room in Jackson was overwhelming,
They didn't investigate my case.
and more just kept coming, wanting their stories heard.
Even the detective when I talked to him, they hung the phone up in my face.
Willie Mack is himself a former homicide detective at the Jackson Police Department.
What an ambulance at?
His daughter was shot to death in 2017.
Hang on, how many years were you with Jackson PD?
24 years.
You had 24 years in, and when you call the detective investigating your daughter's death, you don't get your calls returned?
I don't get no call returned.
To understand better the depth of their suffering, we sat down with three mothers from the group.
My son, his name is Kenlon Thompson Jr. He was murdered April the 1st, 2021.
Zachary Ryan Robinson. He was murdered on April 29th of 2014.
Ryan, he was murdered November 26, 2020 on Thanksgiving, a day after my birthday.
Margie Allen, Danita Williams, and Lucinda Wade Robinson are talking about their sons, all younger than 22, all gunned down in the city of Jackson, Mississippi. Population, 153,000. Has there been any arrest made in either of these three cases?
No.
Not one arrest?
I was showed a picture of my baby on the side of the road. I was showed some information, and I was told to go solve my own crime.
Go solve your own crime?
And bring them the evidence, and I would take it to them.
In Jackson, the capital of Mississippi, the numbers are stunning. 156 homicides last year, one of the highest per capita homicide rates in the entire country. Do you feel murder is being treated differently here?
Murder is at the bottom of the totem pole. It's normal. A young black male is going to die tomorrow. We have 3 over the weekend. We can't get to you right now.
The whole system is backlogged.
James Davis is the chief of the Jackson Police Department. Does not solving homicide cases erode the trust the community has in the police department?
Well, of course, we tell these citizens the truth. We don't tell them that we can solve a case without the facts, you know?
Chief Davis told us Jackson PD's ability to solve murder cases depends on processing evidence at the state crime lab, which he says is overwhelmed.
I can use more police officers. I could use more homicide detectives. But if the state is backed up, the court is backed up, we will still have the same problem by developing these cases that we're already doing.
FBI research suggests homicide detectives should oversee no more than 5 cases per year. Jackson PD has 8 full-time detectives. That's enough for 40 murder investigations. Last year alone, they had nearly 4 times that number.
I don't think any police department in the nation can say that they got enough resources.
Jackson homicide detective Sergeant Kevin Nash works in an office where each desk is piled high with files. He knows that means victims' relatives aren't going to like the pace of solving their loved one's murder.
Sergeant Nash, I talked to him and he said, well, you know, a lot of y'all come down here and act like y'all children are perfect. I said, no. I said, first of all, I'm not acting like my child is perfect, but my child did not deserve to be killed in the street.
But Sergeant Nash says he and his colleagues are doing the best they can.
I'll be honest with you, when your loved one is killed, you can never do enough to solve that case. I call them back when I'm available. It may not be right then when they want to. And remember, if this was your child, you want immediate answers too.
I will always tell you that the Jackson Police Department can do a better job.
Jackson Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba knows all too well what unsolved crime can do to a family.
My brother was shot in the head in Jackson, Mississippi. So we're no friend of crime, right? And no one was ever arrested for that.
But points out his police department makes arrests in 6 out of 10 cases, above the national average. I get the feeling no matter how often you talk about it, the tears don't stop.
No, no.
You just lay in bed at night.
There's something going on in that police department. There's something going on in Mississippi right now.
You just cry all night and you get up and try to fight more to get justice for your child. It's too much.
It turns out that 3 weeks after we visited Jackson Police, they made arrests in the case of Margie Allen's son a year and a half after his murder. Jackson PD told us it was a long investigation and they simply just kept following the leads. Tomorrow, we're going to bring you the 3rd story in our series, which takes us to Baltimore to focus on possible solutions to help police solve.
Since it's Thursday, there's a conspiracy behind Thursday. If you're a fan of the channel, we take a conspiratorial edge on Thursdays. But let's just go ahead and just broad search in YouTube. Jackson, Mississippi, police corruption. From 3 months ago. Mitzi Bickers. Operation Cross Country, Jackson, Missouri. It's 8 years ago. Let's check on this. What's this?
Some surprising revelations in the bribery conspiracy trial of Pastor Mitzi Bickers. A former mayor in Mississippi testified about strippers, first-class airline seats, concert tickets, and luxury limo rides, all tied to Pastor Bickers.
The mayor told the jury it all happened while Pastor Bickers was trying to win contracts from his city. Dale Russell talked one-on-one.
Whoa, this pastor was like, strippers, money, tickets. Whoa, that's insane.
With Bickers' attorney before the testimony began.
Even the churches are corrupt there.
Attorney Drew Findling said he felt he'd made progress late Thursday on his cross-examination of the prosecution's star witness. But then he entered court on Friday and immediately faced salacious testimony about his client.
They had a file on this gentleman thicker than the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Pastor Mitzi Bickers' attorney Drew Findling feels good after his cross-examination.
You know, that guy had practiced that line for a while. That was a calculated line. He really thought about that.
Of former Atlanta construction owner E.R. Mitchell's testimony late yesterday. For 2 days, Mitchell told the jury how he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in mostly cash bribes to then City of Atlanta employee Mitzi Bickers for millions of dollars in city contracts. Findling hammered Mitchell on the fact that Mitchell was an undercover FBI informant before allegedly entering into that conspiracy with Bickers to win those contracts. Mitchell became an informant in 2006 after signing a non-prosecution agreement following his involvement in a scandal with other government contracts.
We know that he has a history, from the government's perspective, of bribery.
Findling suggested to the jury it was E.R. Mitchell and not Mitzi Bickers who walked away with cash from all those city contracts.
Where has E.R. Mitchell buried the money?
Friday morning, the trial shifted to Jackson, Mississippi,
He's
where
burning
Bickers
it.
faced more damning testimony that she tried to bribe
strippers.
city officials to get contracts.
Press F to pay respects
Former
to that
Jackson
money.
Mayor Tony Yarber told the jury he hired Bickers to help him run for the job. She did, and he won. He told the jury Bickers wanted 2 city contracts, and soon after the election, she provided him a private jet to Atlanta for a fundraiser for him at her lakefront home. He says he met Mayor Kasim Reed during the weekend and met E.R. Mitchell at the fundraiser. Yarber testified he also attended an event at a strip club on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. It was hosted by another company, but he says he was surprised to see Pastor Bickers was there all evening as strippers performed for him. And all Yarber said, along with a private jet, he flew first class on Delta, stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, and was spirited around Atlanta in plush limousines for various different events hosted by Pastor Bickers. Prosecutor Nathan Kitchens asked, "Did your campaign pay for this?" No. Did the city of Jackson pay? No. Bickers listened intently as Yarber said it all happened while Bickers was bidding on a sewer contract with the city of Jackson, where Yarber was the mayor. Ultimately, the Jackson mayor told the jury Mitzi Bickers did not win the contract. Under cross-examination, he said he would never take a bribe, and he told Mitzi Bickers only, "I can get you to the table, the rest is up to you." From the federal courthouse, Dale Russell, Fox 5 News.
Wild. Wild.
Consider those protections and be as flexible as possible. Vlad and Anne-Marie, air travel these days
Go back to CBS
truly
Live.
is for the brave.
And the patient. Errol, thank you very much.
Yes. CBS News
has a whole lot more to offer.
We really
Should we
do.
say it in
I know, we
unison?
really do.
At noon, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson will be sworn in, making history as the first black woman to serve on the Supreme Court. She takes her seat on the bench amidst the turmoil following the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
And in our noon hour, the head of Bank of America's Retirement and Personal Wealth Solutions team joins the stream to talk women and finances. A recent study from the organization finds only 48% of women feel confident about their finances.
Later on Red and Blue, Face the Nation's Margaret Brennan unpacks the NATO summit in Madrid and her latest interview with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. You can watch that conversation at 6 p.m. Eastern.
And at 7 p.m., we'll discuss pay increases for wildland firefighters, the problem with recruitment and the challenges they face in the months ahead.
If you are heading out the door, hey,
yeah, but that's
the
hard
homicide
to do.
department is under pressure.
Sure.
But what did the police department say? How did they explain?
Wanted to hop back to corruption in Jackson, Mississippi, because, you know, we have a friend of the channel that was, or former friend of the channel that was, it's from that area or around that area, and I can just speak from what I've heard secondhand. It's corrupt as hell there.
This inability to solve these cases?
Well, simply, I think it is a question of, you know, you're sort of drinking water from a fire hose. It is, look, the numbers are the numbers. If the FBI suggests that each homicide detective should handle 5 investigations max to be effective, and if the 8 detectives could handle 40 and you have 4 times that number, I mean, what are you supposed to do?
Right.
On the other hand,
And they are solving it at a higher rate than the national
that's a very,
average.
Vlad, that's a very important point, and one they were very quick to make, as they should be.
Yeah.
Look, we are solving homicides at a higher rate than the national average. The pain, however, in that ballroom where we met with all of those mothers was as moving an experience as I've had reporting. It was, and you know, we reached out to a few. The ballroom kept filling with person after person, victim after victim. It was quite overwhelming.
Yeah, you know, I think it's one of the things that I wanted to ask you when you came on to share your reporting on CBS Mornings, Jim, which is clearly it's not just an issue of overwhelming the police department. It's the fact that these murders are happening, and that speaks to a larger issue. And Anne-Marie, you've talked about this before. There are underlying causes to these crimes. They include poverty, they include neglect, they include a lack of education, lack of services. And so if you can throw as many cops at a situation as possible.
Oh, wild. There's some Candace and Kids, etc. coming out, some confessions online, but not sure if any of it is true. Let's see what we can find here. Let's see if we can chase down a little bit of the Summer Wells stuff. Oh, Krama Mama's going. Let's see. Let's see. Confession? 2 months ago.
Hey guys, hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. I think it's hump day. Anyway, downhill from here. Yeah, it is Wednesday, ain't it? So it's hump day. Downhill from here. All right, so for those of you that go to my community tab, which maybe I should have maybe I should have done that for members only, because I'm starting to get a lot of trolls in there. I posted a post on my community page. Said, I know where Candace is. Also, the police know where she is, and just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm doing a video tonight. All right, so I do know where Candace is. She looks to be healthy. Looks good. So whoever she's with, wherever she's at, they're doing right by Candace. They're taking care of her. They're, you know, at least they're taking care of Candace, you know. So she did look good and looked healthy. And how do I know where Candace is? Because I seen her this morning. I was out running errands and she pulls right up beside me in the freaking road. I'm like, so, but no, I mean, because this is an active investigation and because Candace is right smack dab in the middle of it, and because of all the hoopla and stuff like that, I'm not going to give out the location of the city or anything like that where I seen her. But she did look healthy, and like if she's staying somewhere, they're, you know, by her the way she looked today, they're taking good care of her. I can tell you that because she looked really good.
Okay, Candace, for anybody who's unfamiliar, is the mother of Summer Wells. Summer Wells is missing, still missing. So Crama Mama thinks she can just go in the morning too and try to snatch these viewers, huh? Let's see. From 6 days ago, Dawn and Candace and this neighbor. It's pretty obvious these parents have something to do with it.
Please like, share. I want you guys to listen for Dawn's victim blaming.
These voices.
He's talking about Jeannie. Mary tells him that she's pressing charges. Mary did great. She got him to admit it once again, what he did to Jeannie. Up till he was at least 19 years old. She was 5. Also at the end, I'm going to show you some new pictures of the last search they did for Summer on March 3rd. Thanks, guys.
I talked to Jeannie last night, and she told me that she was going to press charges against you, Donnie. That friend of...
Molly Go Lightly, what do we got? Jody Sue finally reveals what happened at Ben Hill Road. Must see. Well, Jody Sue's confession, clear audio. Okay, here's an actual clip from that stream. You're right, Molly. You're right, Debbie. She sure did.
On my barbecue, though. Amy Lou, you sent pictures to my email. Let me check it.
All right. Well, that's good. Y'all go over there and ask why exactly it is he was selling drugs to the children at 110. Why he was potentially causing little girls over there to be sedated and to be touched with the shit he was selling them over there. Go ahead.
Whoa. Trigger warning. We're talking about the potential crimes of one Don Wells, it sounds like.
Because I have fucking questions. Not standing in front of him anymore. Yeah. And I found about a few days before all the shit went down. I'm not kidding, dude. And I got the fucking receipts on it. And I'm sure law enforcement does as well. He had known Summer was also being abused, and he hid it from everybody, including me. And he was very much selling drugs to the children at 110. And to Candace for those children. Now, what all that was, I don't know. But I do know it was happening.
Damn.
And I very much think it plays a role in what was happening to other little girls over there. And I very much do think that it could be part of why Summer looks so asleep. Is maybe possibly Candace giving her the shit Andy was selling to her. So go ask.
I won't lie, that's
Because
pretty...
I still have fucking questions.
I think we all do.
And I think that it was occurring since before the Utah trip. It is part of why Josie was taken to Utah. Even though that was kind of a fucking lie, right? Why he went to Utah. But it's Andy's fault. And Candace's. You remember Candace saying Josie was, or Alice, or one of them talking about how Josie was using, and it was the reason he was taken. It's not the reason Josie was taken out there. But shit occurring around that time is why. He's responsible for it. From before Utah until. So you go ask him.
This kind of half-lit, nobody being clear and concise with their narratives when they explain their side of the story is part of the reason I fell off of following this. This is just so much to have to dissect. Who the fuck is Josie? Like, that's insane. It sounded like a fucking big city outside the window right now. Damn. We got sirens, we got crackheads. Peek at these crackheads. Yeah, they didn't care. So I'm so confused.
Why he was selling drugs to those children.
So confused.
And to Candace for the children. Go ask. And ask him what type other than weed.
It out. Oh, hot dogs.
Oh, Jose, not Josie. Got you. Got you. That was the dude down the road. Okay. Got you. Praying hard for Doug from Northport? What, Molly? What, Aunt Molly? Wild. Alright, let's pop back here. Let's go back to corruption in Jackson. That's fascinating. I'm going to need Alley Cats to kind of explain some more of that to me. So hopefully we get Alley Cats in here today. Maybe. I'm just going to leave that open in another tab.
Possible. You both know this from your years as reporters, but unless you fix the underlying infrastructure and foundational problems, it will still always be an issue.
And to that point, a number of law enforcement officers across the country told us that it's not just the numbers, it's how homicides occur now. Many more obviously happening through drive-bys, through guns.
Right.
Think about 50 years ago, there was much more close encounter homicides involving knives. The kinds of homicides that take place are also more difficult to solve when the killer and the victim don't know each other.
Right.
So the type of homicide has also changed over the last 50 years, and that also adds a degree of difficulty in terms of clearing the case.
That makes a lot of sense.
And as you say, Jim, this is not unique to Jackson, Mississippi. And I just, as you both pointed out, the fact that you asked for just a couple of people to show up and you saw the number of people turn up at that auditorium is heartbreaking.
And there will be a half-hour documentary that drops tonight that deals more with what happened in Jackson. It's tough stuff. It's important stuff to take in and realize this is the situation not just in Jackson.
I want to
but in
watch
many
that
places
documentary.
around the country.
Tomorrow we'll look forward to your reporting. You go to Baltimore.
Please name
and you
drop it,
offer some
dude.
hope.
What the hell?
We've demonstrated these problems. Tomorrow we'll give you some solutions.
Love it. Jim, thank you as always, my friend. You can see all of Jim's reporting and the CBS News local stories at cbsnews.com/unsolved.
Okay, well, I'll check there and we'll see if we can't get that documentary and maybe watch Party That Ish soon, because that sounds interesting. I'm fascinated by Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Florida. Southeast is wild. It gets wild down there. By far the craziest place I've toured through. Crazy place. Let's change our news source. Let's change it up. Let's check on it. NBC.
They're saying that their story is a little different. You have former White House counsel Eric Hirschman also saying that he was the one that wrote that note, the draft of the note the committee presented on Tuesday, that draft that aides wanted Trump to read as the Capitol was being attacked, that was never sent out, despite Hutchinson saying under oath that it was her that wrote that note, and she even identified it as her own handwriting. But the committee and Hutchinson, through her lawyers, they're sticking by this statement and all of the stories that she recounted on Tuesday, including the committee's top Republican Liz Cheney, who defended her in an interview yesterday. Listen here.
Her superiors, men many years older, a number of them are hiding behind executive privilege, anonymity, and intimidation. But her bravery and her patriotism yesterday were awesome to behold.
And Kate, it's likely that the committee expected this kind of pushback from former members of the Trump administration. It could be part of the reason why the committee waited really up until the last minute to formally announce the plans for Hutchinson to come and testify. The committee also saying that those Secret Service agents are welcome to come and testify publicly if they wish to do so, something we're still waiting on a firm answer of whether they will or won't in these future hearings.
And Ali, former White House counsel Pat Cipollone, he was prominent in Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony on Tuesday. The committee has now subpoenaed him for his own testimony. Do you know what they're hoping to learn from him, and what are the chances that he complies with that subpoena?
Yeah, the committee has really been very public with their insistence to speak more on the record with Pat Cipollone. At the end of the past couple of hearings, we've heard them really express this outreach and invite him to come testify publicly. This is someone who we know met privately and answered the committee's questions privately a few months ago, but the committee wants something on the record, either written or in person, from Pat Cipollone. The committee saying in this subpoena that he is, quote, declined to cooperate with us further, including on the record testimony, now saying they have no choice but to issue this subpoena. And Kate, this is someone who had extreme behind-the-scenes knowledge of so many events that went on before, during, and after January 6th in the White House. Remember, in the first couple hearings, we heard Liz Cheney ask Jared Kushner in a pre-recorded clip of his testimony whether Pat Cipollone ever threatened to resign from his position. Jared Kushner equating his threats to what he called whining. We heard DOJ officials in another hearing say that Cipollone defended and supported them during Trump's pressure campaign against the Justice Department. And then on Tuesday, you heard Hutchinson describe him as warning her to not make any movement towards the Capitol because he said they would, quote, be charged with every crime imaginable if that actually happened. She also described a story where he went into Mark Meadows' office and really expressed just this urgency to act as he knew rioters were entering the Capitol. So right now, we're not sure what exactly the extent to which he will speak, whether it'll be pre-recorded, something written, or whether he will testify publicly. But they are compelling him to give his deposition on Wednesday of next week, Kate.
On Wednesday of next week. Okay. And Ali, just this morning, we learned that President Biden is going to give a speech on the January 6th committee's findings once the panel finishes its investigation. What do we know about when that could happen? When might the committee wrap up? When would that speech be?
Well, we're expecting at least 2 more hearings to take place really in the middle of July. But remember, the door is always open for more hearings, as we saw this week with this surprise hearing with Cassidy Hutchinson. And so we're really not sure when Biden could give this speech. This is a topic that he's really had to walk a fine line around, really not giving any descriptive comment about the January 6th committee investigation beyond the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of January 6th. And we're hearing that this will likely be part of a theme that he will present of really rallying around Democrats and really forcing the American public to see a side of Democrats and not really go forward with thinking that former President Trump would be a likely candidate or a good candidate to vote for, possibly in the 2024 elections, Kate.
Yeah, that's the politics of it. Ali Rafa for us at the Capitol. Ali, thanks so much. For millions of Americans
wasn't
across
Abby
the US
Shapiro.
Today marks the unofficial start of the holiday for the July 4th
That wasn't Ben
weekend.
Shapiro's
According
sister?
to AAA, it's expected to break some records with 42 million Americans planning
I
to
had
hit
no
the
clue.
road this weekend. Despite those soaring gas prices, today's national average, by the way, is about $4.85. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock joins me now from Pompano Beach, Florida, with a closer look at the situation there. Sam, good morning. Give me some good news, please, about the travel situation.
Kate, good morning. I'm going to inspire you by letting you know that there's so many families that are going to get eventually to where they want to go. When that happens, I don't know. But we're very close at this Florida Service Plaza to Disney World, and they know it. You mentioned the 42 million number. It's kind of interesting because it's just a little bit more than what we saw last year. The difference is $5 gas prices right now, $4.85 as you specified, versus $3 at this time a year ago. In terms of getting where you need to be, the roadways from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., Kate, are the worst times to go.
Right, Arianthe?
Records ready to be broken on the roads. Nearly 90% of Americans traveling this holiday weekend going by car. And according to AAA's forecast, 42 million people are hitting the road, edging out last year's total, as you'll find common sights at service plazas all over the country. SUVs spilling over with
They didn't send
suitcases
them out today.
and parents driving their kids to
there's a
destinations like
YouTube
Disney
issue.
World despite eye-popping gas prices.
Yeah, so every like and share really matters today because there were no notifications. So yeah, everybody, we did a couple all calls in the Discord. Best we could really, yeah, I blame YouTube today.
How did you make that calculation?
Well, I guess it was no calculation
Hey,
due to it's
been
her
having a
birthday.
chill morning,
So we
so-
just like, you know what, we're gonna just come.
Perhaps a reflection of families fed up with the pandemic and willing to accept the trade-off to make their kids smile this summer. The Fridays likely taking their daughters to Legoland. It's worth the price at the pump. Absolutely. An alternative route to rising costs using electric cars for road trips. This mom says she's paying about 80% less in fuel.
I'm just so glad that, I had the vehicle and I see big, differences in prices.
For those braving the
Oh, wow.
roads, some areas expected to see massive spikes in congestion. Atlanta's I-85 and DC's Beltway later today.
I was hoping this would turn into a Dune-style fight over lithium instead of oil, because I am tired of fight for oil. But let's see if it turns into that. I'm glad. But let's keep pushing with this electric car stuff. I like it. I'm done with combustion engines. I hate them.
Still, Americans deciding you can't put a price on holiday fun.
All right, Sam, so I think you said leave in the afternoon, right, if you're going to travel. And what about the best times to come back and return?
Yeah, leave in the evening if you can. In terms of when you return, Sunday and Monday are the low congestion times, according to AAA. The problem is, Kate, that's the holiday. That's when you want to be with your loved ones barbecuing, so that could be a bit of an issue. But here is a pro tip. Today you were supposed to be on the road by 7 a.m. Tomorrow, not quite as bad by 10 a.m., according to AAA. But I would not be going in the middle of the day or just, as they say, pack your patience and some good music because it could be a while.
Okay, so don't go in the middle of the day. Go early, go late, not right in the middle. Okay.
Correct.
We got it. Sam.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to get this cat a scoop of food. We got kids, we got cats. They're being awful rude deluxe. Let's Keep it chill. I'll be right back, guys. Yeah, go in the middle of the night. Absolutely, Arianthi. We're back. Get this set up right. Yeah, guys, hop in the Discord. Get on camera with me. What's up, guys? Shrink that down as well. Oh. Oh yeah, no, nobody got a notification. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell's up today. I got rated on Twitch last night, so that was cool. That was pretty cool. Check out some heat indexes, it looks like.
94, you factor in the humidity, it's going to feel like 97 degrees. Richmond, 92, feeling like 94. So for the weekend, by Saturday, we're looking at wet weather, unfortunately, for many of us in the east, from New England all the way down to the southeast. Showers in parts in the middle of the country and some really hot air in the Intermountain West into the Rockies by Sunday. Looking really good in the northern plains. Lingering showers once again. I know we've been saying it for days and days into the southeast, the Gulf Coast states, and then look at Monday, July 4th. Fantastic in the northeast. Back to you, Kate.
All right, Michelle, thanks. Coming up, more fallout from the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade, the impact that it could have on people building families through IVF.
Uvalde, Texas, a small town that is...
No. No. Oh. Justin, are you working? Are you able to chill? What you got going on? What you got going on? What you got coming out? We'll take it. Chill while NBC is on a commercial break. Technical difficulties lately. I wonder if the rolling blackouts in the West had anything to do with the notification thing. It's probably a weird connection to make, weird dot to connect, but maybe. It's possible. Very possible. I didn't get fair representation online. Yeah, Arianthe, she went there. Are we going Amber Heard? Let's check it out. I'll take the suggestion. Oh my, Amber Heard's been banned from GoFundMe. Ooh, she's still being investigated in Australia over the dogs. Let's check out that update real fast. Lost his temper. I remember one event on his yacht. Oh, what the hell is Claire C? Oh yeah, this is just a bot that's posting that. It's crazy. What?
Are far from over. Because just weeks after losing against her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, in a defamation trial,
do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
E.T. has learned that she's still being investigated in an ongoing perjury case in Australia. So what's Amber dealing with now? Well, a spokesperson at the Australian Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment tells E.T. they're investigating allegations of perjury by the actress during court proceedings for the 2015 illegal importation of her 2 dogs into the country. Perjury is, of course, lying under oath. You'll recall when Amber and Johnny were still married, they brought their 2 Yorkshire Terriers, Pistol and Boo, into Australia without declaring them, despite the country having a strict quarantine policy.
You and your wife got into some, I don't know, is it legal trouble? Is that a fair way to describe it?
I mean, if that's legal trouble, it's by far the most interesting I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it's something Johnny went into detail about with Jimmy Kimmel.
You went to Australia, shooting Pirates of the Caribbean.
Indeed.
And your dogs, you brought dogs into the country. Did you smuggle the dogs into the country?
No, the dogs were...
That's exactly how that happened.
We were under the impression that we had all the paperwork done for the dogs. We were there with the dogs in front of everybody. There might have been other things smuggled.
But not dogs.
Well, they seem to miss that bit.
So, since the dogs failed to go through customs and adhere to Australia's required 10-day quarantine, in July 2015, Amber was officially charged with 2 counts of illegally importing the animals.
Myself as an
and how are the
enabler,
dogs?
honestly.
Are they good? Yes, they're good, despite attempts by certain rogue, thug Australian government officials. They are all right.
We were wondering, because it became like this snowball effect out of nowhere.
I cannot believe this. It's a sad state of affairs that made such headline global news. I'll just say that. It is sad.
They're back on American soil.
Yes, my little Yorkies are with me.
That following year, Johnny and Amber even issued an apology for not following the Australian rules.
Australia is a wonderful island with a treasure trove of unique plants, animals, and people.
that has to be protected. When you disrespect Australian law, they will tell you firmly.
I am truly sorry that Pistol and Boo were not declared. Protecting Australia is important.
Declare everything when you enter Australia.
And after she pled guilty to falsifying travel documents in court, the case was closed. But now the spokesperson says that the case is actually ongoing.
Damn.
So it looks like AH is getting banned by GoFundMe, so she's not going to be able to get those millions of dollars.
This guy is. I don't trust you, cartoon anonymous floaty head. Sometimes you're crypto misogynist or something. Ugh. The Sky News interview. He's already in Australia. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we talked about that whole pub situation. Like, I hope
So it looks
Australia
like
finds her
AH
guilty.
is getting banned.
I didn't mean to click on that. Yeah. Horrible Q scores. Yeah. All of that. Dang.
The millennials, really the age of the family starting, like the people who are most
They're having
connected
kids.
to the abortion conversation, they're the ones who we've seen the biggest jumps
Anything
heading
what you
into
got
midterms
going on?
4
Hop
months
up in
away.
this
Right, I
Discord.
was just going to say, we're right around the corner from the midterms. There was a lot of concern among Democrats that Republicans, usually what happens is the things flip during the midterms, right? The party in control tends to lose seats. How does this play into that?
Well, look, this is definitely going to be an election issue. Democrats would like to make guns and abortion and January 6th the election issues. But front of mind for most Americans, it's still the economy. Take a look at the latest numbers from this
Specifically a
Economist YouGov
stimulus.
poll. Asked Americans, what is the most important issue to right now?
Give us some damn
the economy
money.
is still leading the way. Abortion, it has climbed, but it's still fifth. Guns, still down at
Give us
eighth.
some
On
damn
the question,
money.
what's most important when you're considering your midterm vote this fall? All things economy are leading the way here. What's important to America? Crime, still way up that list. Economy, crime, healthcare. We don't find guns until 8th, and we don't find abortion until 11th on this list. It tells us that people are paying attention, but the most important issue to many Americans, still the economy.
Their wallet. Noah Pransky, thanks for being with us.
Sure
Appreciate that very much. You can see more of Noah's reporting, by the way, on lx.com. Check it out there. 4 people are now in custody in connection to that migrant smuggling case in Texas as investigators try to piece together what led to more than 50 people dying in the back of a tractor trailer. Meanwhile, there are still survivors from the tragedy recovering in the hospital. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas is near the southern border with the latest.
Kate, the Department of Justice has released new details on the investigation. Now, yesterday we had learned some details from the Mexican government of a suspected driver of the truck who had been detained and taken to a hospital. What we know today from the Department of Justice is that driver is Homero Zamorano. He has been detained and he's going to appear in court today at 1:30 local.
Molly Golightly just liked my comment on her most recent video, if anybody was wondering. So Aunt Molly, we're still on good terms. What up, Aunt Molly?
Time. Now, he's being charged with alien smuggling resulting in death. He could possibly even
Big
face
Juicy
the death
in the
penalty.
house.
Now,
Really?
after investigators detained him,
Really?
it's been informed that through the use of his cell phone, they found
Yeah.
the person he was communicating with. That is another person that is now detained. That's Christian Martinez. He's charged with conspiracy to transport illegal aliens resulting in death. He could also face the death penalty. Now, additionally to these 2 individuals, we have the other 2 Mexican nationals that have been arrested. They were arrested after investigators were able to find an address that was linked to the tags of the truck. These 2 individuals are Juan Claudio de Luna Mendez and Juan Francisco de Luna Bilbao. They are both charged with possession of a weapon by an alien illegally. In the U.S., it's been said that they were both in the country with overstayed visas. Now, of those the victims that were taken to hospitals, we know that 11 remain hospitalized. We're waiting for more updates. We did hear from the Mexican consulate 2
They
days
were
ago
nationals
that
on-
the injuries they had seen.
Those were nationals on expired visas. Any yeah, guys, this is I'm calling red alert. This is cartel stuff. This is cartel business. Arianthe in the house. What up?
Hello.
Man,
See if I can actually make things work.
this is just nuts.
I'm just starting to function. I apologize to everybody.
You're fine. Am I rolling early for everybody? I meant it.
Mm-hmm.
I meant it when I said it. I'm doing it. Hit an early stream and seeing how it's going. And so far, I can't tell because it didn't send my notifications out.
Right, yeah.
It's
not fair.
yeah, effing YouTube. I might hit 2 hours here in a bit and then relaunch.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? Just to see if we hit anything, I don't know, juicy today. If any of the news is spicy. But we've already thrown our Brian Laundrie stuff up.
Oh, Brian Laundrie.
Yeah, he's back.
So Derek brought up a really good point last night.
Yeah.
He said even cell phones that don't have service at all can call 911, so why didn't he do that?
Yeah, that's something I said on stream too. Like there's no reason he couldn't have got help. Like there's no reason.
No.
It's insane. It's disgusting. Like he went out of his way to make sure she didn't make it back. This is genuinely how it seems. And then went out of his way to weasel out of any like responsibility or accountability.
Yeah.
Just disgusting. Same with this, this migrant tragedy. It's being labeled by NBC now. And
migrant tragedy.
Like that's a lot of people in a semi-truck. I'm wondering I'm wondering how this is going to play out. If there's I know that they have people in custody, but again, we'll kind of know if it's cartel related. Hopefully we don't find out that it's cartel related because something happens to them while they're detained.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm worried about. But oof. While you're getting ready and acclimating to the morning, let's check a little bit of this out. I've got MSNBC just NBC News Live going right now.
I'm watching.
Of those that were taken to hospitals included liver failure, it included internal bleeding, it included other types of neurological damages, and they were in very critical condition. We know that 5 of the patients that were taken to the hospital initially have died. Right now, the death toll is at least 53 of these individuals in that cargo trailer have died as a result, Kate.
All right, Guad Venegas, thank you. Badly injured and amputated, but now they are free. Coming up after the break, what led to the biggest prisoner of war swap yet in the war in Ukraine? We're live in Kyiv.
Prisoner swap in Kyiv. This means we're hopping now. We're going to check out Fox News Live.
Nations outside of that have provided aid. That's mechanically how it's worked, and that's mechanically how it's going to work. I mean, I think it's very important because I think Vladimir Putin hasn't been challenged.
Vladimir Putin. Ooh, Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup celebration. We got a Stanley Cup celebration going on.
It's hi, this is amazing down here.
I know this is a hockey parade, but happy Pride.
Blue, all the jerseys from years gone by.
Pride, everyone.
It's amazing. You don't even know what you'll run into as well.
Tell me about it. By the way, I'm willing to bet, Gary, that Big Head Todd and the Monsters are going to be playing again next year because this team looks that good. You never know what you're going to run into, like the 9 News Stanley Cup.
Yes.
And Mr. Mark Salinger. What exactly?
In the middle there.
What exactly
Take the
is
center
this?
stage. I'm just excited that the city of Denver decided to throw a parade for my homemade Stanley Cup.
I know.
I think this is what it feels like to be a champion.
Are you going to get on a live truck and drive in the parade route with the 9?
These guys have the most Colorado humor ever, and I love it. You know what I mean, Arianthe? Like that was a very.
It was really fun, yeah.
That was a very Colorado, middle of the country joke, and I loved it so much.
It just feels like everyone from Colorado is just a dad joke away from wearing those white New Balances,
before I forget, I have a potential confession from Jody Sue. I think it's Don Wells' sister that Debbie turned me on to, and I kind of need your help, maybe sussing through some of the the Summer Wells stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Because we'll go down that lane today. Probably on this next. I'm gonna drop this and then bring a new one up. I think I've decided. So we'll just stay hanging in the Discord here for a bit. But before we go, let's check out some of this sad news. This is a really sad story. So trigger warning, everybody. It's gonna be a bummer. It's gonna be sad.
Well, we're here.
Urgent investigation underway after a 20-year-old woman was shot on the street in New York City while she was pushing a 3-month-old baby in a stroller. Just awful. Will Reeve is on the scene with the latest now. And Will, the suspect is still at large?
Yeah, good morning, Gio. It happened around 8:30 last night in this mostly quiet, affluent neighborhood on the Upper East Side. That 20-year-old woman pushing a 3-month-old in a stroller when she was shot in the back of the head at what police call a very close range by a man wearing all black, a hooded sweatshirt, who ran off after pulling the trigger. The baby, fortunately, is unharmed as police investigate what seems to be a targeted killing as they try to get a sense of the victim's life and relationships to try to figure out who might be motivated to kill her. On the scene last night, New York City Mayor Eric Adams vowing to find the suspect and referring to the national surge in gun violence, saying it shows just how this national problem is impacting families, Gio.
Oh, let's hope that they find that shooter. Will, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News.
Oh, shit. It's George Stephanopoulos. Everyone wake up. It's George. It's George.
He's coming for you.
He's here. It's George. Jeez. Okay. Well, hang out for me, Arianthe. I'm going to go ahead and bring this part 1 down, and we'll bring up a part 2, and hope it notifies people. And,
sounds good.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Be right back, digital world.